To remain updated with the latest business news, click on the bell icon.
A full charge in under 15 minutes? Xiaomi claims this is India's fastest charging smartphone. We test that claim on Tech Today. Also on the show, rapid antigen test kits. What's the science and technology behind them? We're also launching an electric experience. It's an action-packed show. I'm your host Aayush, and this is Tech Today. Well, at Tech Today, we have a strict innovation-first policy, and that's why we have India's fastest charging smartphone, or at least that's what Xiaomi is claiming, the Xiaomi 11i Hypercharge edition. Can this really go from 0 to 100% of charge in less than 15 minutes? How is that even possible? How does the technology work? We'll get to that, but first, we'll need to unbox it. That's what you call an express unboxing. Of course, there's the usual stuff in this box with the SIM ejection tool and the manuals and stuff like that. But these are the two big boys that really matter for this review. So we'll get these out of the way and then get to the fast charging bit, a live demonstration for you on Tech Today. Now, this 120-watt charger feels like a real charging brick, so to speak, a dumbbell, almost as heavy as the phone. And that's saying something, and I'm not cribbing about that because at least this company, Xiaomi, is giving us, well, a charging brick. You know, there are other companies that aren't doing that nowadays. But anyways, moving on, this phone feels quite premium at this price point. I love the color, I love this sort of shine that it gives with this pearl blue color. That said, it can be quite a fingerprint magnet. While we've been opening it up and reviewing it, well, it's already got a few fingerprints out there. The display is vibrant. It's this brilliant punch hole design, almost bezel-less. Must be almost a 90% screen to body ratio. That gives you a lot of screen, and that means this might be ideal for content consumption and for gaming. Now, in terms of under the hood, it has a MediaTek Dimensity 920, which is all right for this segment, but does it really make a difference when you're playing a game? Let's try it out. I mean, I'm going to set up Battlegrounds, which is something that a lot of y'all have been playing. And honestly, there seems to be no issue. It's smooth, you can really play at a high refresh rate and pull out the maximum from the phone. I'm quite impressed. This is something we will be doing in the review in a more elaborate way, but it seems about right. But if I place it on the table, it seems quite all right in terms of balancing itself out on the table. The punch hole camera on the front obviously looks quite good because it doesn't take away from the screen too much. And at the back, it has this mega camera setup. Just to tell you a little bit more about the camera setup, it has a 108 megapixel AI triple camera, ultra wide and macro lenses. And what I really like about this phone is the fact that it's given you an IR blaster and, wait for it, a 3.5mm headphone jack. So I really think that strangely, I don't know if they've marketed this as a gaming phone, but this could serve as quite a nifty gaming device as well. Alright, just on using the phone, you notice there's around 7 or 8 Xiaomi apps, and in terms of bloatware and ads, that's always a concern with MIUI. This comes, I think, with MIUI 12.5, which is based on Android 11. Obviously, there'll be updates later, but I'll be very honest with you, I haven't spent that much time with a Xiaomi device. And in terms of what MIUI used to be earlier, and then everyone spoke about bloatware and stuff like that, if I can get rid of these, well, apps that I don't need, which you can, the unnecessary bloatware, this is quite a snappy phone to use. Okay, so good display, fantastic for gaming, good for content consumption, packs a punch. But what is the real elephant in the room? It's this 120-watt charger, which is quite heavy, which powers a 4500 mAh battery. That's how the company claims this is India's fastest charging smartphone using Hypercharge. What is Hypercharge? Essentially, they've used a dual cell and a dual charge pump sort of technology with graphene. This is perhaps the first time someone's using graphene in a charging battery mechanism, and that increases the conductivity. It's a whole complicated scientific process, and I thought, why do it in theory? Let's show you in practice how 0 to 115 minutes is possible on this budget smartphone, while I maybe whip up a coffee, catch up on some articles, and do a quick workout as well. 15 minutes is a lot of time for a tech reviewer. quite a strong cup of coffee that I managed to make in the 15 minutes that this phone was charging from 0 to 100 using Hypercharge. That's not a gimmick for now. Based on our initial impressions and this particular review, this phone does manage to do that in under 15 minutes. I don't know how this will work over the weeks and months to come. We will test this again and get back to you on Tech Today about how that battery is holding up and what this means for the battery life and longevity. But our verdict in terms of our initial impressions is that this phone does pack quite a punch. The 6 gig version costs, I think, 27,000 rupees, and the 8 gig version, which I have with me, which is a lot more RAM for you if you're playing games and stuff like that and multitasking, that costs 29,000 rupees. There's a bunch of offers and cashbacks and exchanges and stuff like that, which get this top-end variant down to around 25,000 rupees. Now, at that price point, this device, with all its features, Hypercharge included, definitely packs a punch and has impressed us on Tech Today. Now, this is only a solution when it comes to what Xiaomi is now offering with Hypercharge. A lot of the tech companies, especially the ones from China, are offering a lot of solutions when it comes to fast charging. Someone calls it Hypercharge, someone calls it Super VOOC, dart charging, warp charging. There's all sorts of things when they come to naming what this is. But is it really something that's good for your phone in the long run? How does this whole charging thing work? What does it do to your battery health? Well, that's what I want to discuss in this particular segment. Now, the experts that I spoke to said that fast charging doesn't ruin the battery health of the device. That's because the technology of fast charging works in 2 phases. There's the fast bit and then the slow bit. Now, for the first bit, that is fast, which is at the speed that they've promised, 50 watt, 60 watt, or even 120 watt, that bit is up to maybe the first 50 to 70%. After that, it's a very slow charge, and this is done deliberately by manufacturers only so that they can protect the device and the battery circuitry. That's why they slow charge that and ensure that the second half or the last 20-30% is in a slow trickle format so that the battery doesn't overcharge, doesn't overheat, and doesn't get damaged. Lastly, overheating and high temperatures can also be not so good for your battery. So if you're charging your phone and you can take off the cover if it's not a compatible cover, or if it's something that's heavy or it's really hot outside and you're not in an air-conditioned room, then let the phone be, let it charge in its most bare state. Don't use it too much to overheat it, because that can have an adverse impact on battery health. In fact, this obsession about charging the phone up to 100% is not good. The 2 states which are bad for your battery are 0%, letting it drain out, or 100%, maxing it out. The ideal way to maintain battery health and to make that phone last a much longer time or get a good deal on it when you're selling it, well, is actually to keep it between 30 and 80%. That is the sweet spot which will make sure that your battery health stays for the long run. All in all, don't let your battery drain to 0 or charge it and max it out all the time to 100%. Let's stick in the sweet spot, that range between 30 to 80%, and you're good to go with that phone and that battery for a much longer time to come. Now, with this phone, the Xiaomi phone that we were reviewing, 15 minutes to charge. It's also 15 minutes or around that time to get the result of a rapid antigen test. And these rapid antigen tests have become very popular over the past couple of months for obvious reasons. But how do they compare and stack up against an RT-PCR test? Is there a way, while you're doing it at home, to do it in a more efficient way? And how much can we trust those results? My colleague Devina has all the details.
Could we just start with understanding a little bit what exactly is this rapid antigen test and how does it work?
Essentially, what it consists of is a plastic cassette with a paper or cardboard strip embedded in it. And on this strip is a reagent which consists of an antibody that will bind the SARS-CoV-2 antigen.
So what's really the difference then between the test that you would do in a lab versus a home test?
RT-PCR or the RT-LAMP, the molecular tests, they have a very, very high analytical sensitivity, which means that they can detect very, very small amounts of virus in the sample.
Right.
Whereas the rapid antigen tests, they have a lower analytical sensitivity in the sense that the person has to have a lot more virus in them for the test to return a positive result. Molecular tests, so the nucleic acid amplification tests, are really good at detecting infection. So even in the earliest phase of infection or in the later phase of infection, those tests will generally be positive. Whereas the rapid antigen tests are really only going to return a positive when the person has a very, very high viral load. So they may miss early infections, they may miss late infections, but when a person is really infectious, they will have a good accuracy, good sensitivity. Both the tests, kind of have slightly different times at which they have maximum utility. The rapid antigen tests are really good when a person is likely to be very contagious, very infectious, but they may miss early and late infections.
Let's really now understand from you, what is the right way to conduct a rapid antigen test?
So I'm going to open the test now, tear the aluminum foil, and this is the rapid antigen test. So there's a C line, which is the control line.
Yeah.
For the test to be valid, the control line, has to change color. And then you'll see below the control line, there's a T line. That's the test line.
Okay.
So if the control line is present and the test line is not present after 15 minutes, that's a negative test.
All right.
If the control line is present and the test line is present, even if it's a really, really faint line, it's positive. Place this on a flat surface, open the swab, and this is the part that's going to go into the nose. Tilt the head just a little back.
Yeah.
Hold the swab flat and straight. So it's going to go in flat and straight. Don't insert it upwards. Tilt your head back and go flat. Go slow, be gentle. So first one side, slow and low, about 2 to 3 centimeters in. Rotate 5 times clockwise, 5 times anti-clockwise. Takes about 5 seconds. Withdraw slowly, low and slow into the other side. About 2 to 3 centimeters in. Rotate 5 times each way. Now we're going to remove the swab.
Yep.
I'm going to put the swab into the buffer tube, rotate it inside 10 times. So 10 times clockwise, 10 times anti-clockwise. Then while withdrawing the swab, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch this plastic tube. So I'm going to squeeze the swab. Now don't remove the swab completely. Just break the swab. Put the dropper on. So you see this little well here?
Yes.
I'm going to put 4 drops into that well. Okay, so I've put 4 drops into this. And now we wait for 15 minutes. So this is a test I performed a little earlier, about 15 minutes back.
Great.
And you can see the control line is a bright red or maroon, and there is no positive test line. So I'm just going to show you some examples of positive tests. If you can see this, here there is a single line, the control line, that's negative. Here you can see there's a really faint line. That's a positive test.
Wow, that is extremely faint. Yeah, that's easy to miss.
And you can see here there's a very faint line, but that's also a positive test.
Right.
And of course, the final one you can see is really bright positive. I'll show you another image that shows how these evolve over time. And you can see here on day 0, there's a really faint line, but it's there. Then later that in the same day, it gets stronger. And then after that, day 1, so this is from symptom onset. Through the rest of the days, it's really bright. You can see again by about day 8, it's getting light. By day 9, there's a really faint line. Even on day 10, you can see a really, really faint line. So even on day 10, there's a really faint line.
Yes.
So it's important not to miss these really faint lines.
Now that's some timely and useful information by Devina and Dr. Parekh, so thank you for that. But if you're into EVs, we realized as tech geeks, where's all the EV coverage in India? There's so many EVs that were launched throughout the last year and now so many more lined up for 2022. It's not the future, EVs are the present, and tech geeks need to assemble and give you the lowdown. Shivan is standing by and he's going to start off with the electric experience.
So Aayush, to begin with, let me make one thing absolutely clear. Yes, we have this beautiful looking Mercedes EQC luxury electric vehicle with us today, but this is not an auto review. There are way too many people who've given some amazing gyan about this car. We're not talking about the auto gyan. We're going to give you a tech perspective about the EQC because there are some amazing features in this car which I loved, and then there are some features which I'm still struggling to like. Let's get into it. So let's start from the outside. अब देखो हम दिल्ली से हैं और टांग अड़ाना ना हमारी आदत है. That's why I love opening the boot like this. over to the inside. When you sit in the car, to switch it on, you just need to press on this and the car is on. Now, it is an electric car, so it's not going to make any noise. You can be aware of this ready sign right in front of you, because right now, as soon as I press on the accelerator, the car is going to go off like a jet. It has a lot of power inside. But we're going to stick to the tech part of it. Coming forward, there are these two beautiful looking screens in front of you, because as soon as you sit in the car, they grab your attention. Now, these are two screens, they're not one. They're two 10.25-inch screens. Now, to navigate on them, you have several options. Now, these are touch screens. I'm wearing gloves, but still I can, easily navigate on them. I can do it through the touch screen. I can do it through the steering wheel. There is a small navigation tool over here. And there is also a navigation panel right in front of the armrest, which is over here. And it has a physical button as well, which is going to help me move to the next aspect that I want to talk about, which is the massage. So I'm going to go right to comfort. We press on this and you have these two kinds of massages in front of you. There is a wave massage and then there is a pulsating massage. And I'm going to go for the wave. Then you can choose which seat you want to get the massage done in. And so it's me alone over here in the car. So I'm going to go for a wave massage for the driver, and we press on play. And you can't feel it, but I can, and it is really soothing. It is the thigh support which got my attention, which is right here. As soon as you do this, there is extended thigh support which comes right up to your knees. In the long run, for a long drive, it will definitely give added comfort. Now, the look of the car is again up to you. You can change the themes inside. There are a ton of options for that as well. And there are some 360-degree cameras and angles that you get with which you can see the entire car. The car has found a parking spot. Here we go. Let me enjoy something to eat. Nice. Thank you, Mercedes.
How can I help?
Now I want to tell you about the voice recognition as well. As I told you, हम लोग दिल्ली से हैं, so oi Mercedes, oi.
I'm sorry, but I can't help you with it right now.
Hey Mercedes.
How may I help you?
Now, just to give you some numbers, the car offers a range of 400 kilometers on a single charge. Now, all these tech features that the car offers, your massages and your mood lighting and all the audio visual elements and the multiple ACs, if you're going to make the most of all those features, all that is also going to derive power from that same battery, which is helping you move the car. So, if you have a daily run of 40 kilometers, it doesn't mean that you can just charge your car once in 10 days. If you're using all these features in the car and you're moving about 40 kilometers in a day, I feel will need to charge the car every 3 to 4 days, and a single charge for this car will cost you about 800 rupees. I think I'm definitely going to suggest a car which has park assist as a feature to anybody who's elder to me in the house who asks me to park their car now. Aayush, you tell me, what was your favorite feature of this car?
Well, Shivan, it has to be the way you open the boot on that Mercedes. Now, from one German manufacturer, I want to talk about another German manufacturer, but now you are in Delhi. This one is all the way in Las Vegas. BMW showcased something out of the world at CES Las Vegas, the biggest tech event on the planet, which just wrapped up last week. Now, what was this BMW iX Flow concept all about? Well, essentially, it was a color-changing technology on display. BMW, the German automaker, at CES unveiled its first ever concept vehicle. They called it the iX Flow, and it comes with e-ink that can literally change colors. It has a 31-inch BMW theater screen, Amazon Fire TV inside, but that's obviously going to go into future production vehicles. The fluid color changes are basically made possible because of a specially developed body wrap that's similar to what you use on your Kindles and other e-readers. It's e-ink that they're using that's tailored to the contours of this all-electric vehicle. Samsung made a slew of announcements about their ecosystem, a bunch of things that they're doing in the television space and the technologies they've been working out. They laid out the vision very clearly and they spoke about sustainability as well. Of course, something that was announced at CES Las Vegas was the Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition, which has somehow landed on the Tech Today set. So you have to stay tuned to the Tech Today page on the Business Today website and to our YouTube pages and of course to, well, Tech Today. Next week's episode, you're going to see a lot of the Samsung Galaxy S21 Fan Edition. Talking about the Samsung ecosystem, there was a very special contender, which happened to be a remote. Yes, a remote. The solar cell TV remote, their Eco Remote, is something that has blown the minds of all of us in the tech world. Now, this is interesting, of course, because this technology being showcased by Samsung at CES could mean bigger, better things to come. Maybe they could use this sort of radio wave frequency charging technology on bigger devices. Of course, a television remote requires a very small amount of charge. A phone would require a lot more. But what does this mean for their other connected devices? This could mean that this is a game changer, this technology, for Samsung in the connected ecosystem. When we're talking about smartphones, it's important to mention that everyone has been talking about the much awaited OnePlus 10 Pro. And yes, it's been announced in China. There was a lot of talk amongst the tech community at CES as well. The phone is flagship specs, top of the end. That Hasselblad partnership continues. But let's see when they announce it in India and at what price, because that's going to be crucial for the OnePlus 10 Pro. Now, what makes Amica so special and a little different is the fact that she responds exactly like a human. If you see some of her reactions when they're trying to poke her in the face or how she responds to other stimulus around her, well, it's quite interesting to see that technology has come so far. Amica's makers, a UK company named Engineered Arts, actually say that Amica's not quite robot, not quite human appearance is what makes it so special. The body is all metal and plastic. The face is deliberately genderless and it's a non-human grey-like color. The robot has 17 individual motors inside its head, controlling all its movements and expressions. And the facial features, well, they are incredibly emotive. And honestly, if she showed up on the Tech Today set or he showed up on the Tech Today set, I would genuinely be a little concerned. From robots to color-changing cars to remotes that charge themselves and the latest smartphone launches, it all happened at CES and it's all here on Tech Today, because we believe at Tech Today, tomorrow's technology is explained today. Now, if you've liked this episode, you must comment, share and subscribe to the Business Today page and also tune into the Tech Today page on the Business Today website. Until next week, this is your non-humanoid robot host, Aayush Alavadi, saying goodbye and adios.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.